Since my last video on that monster of a vehicle and figure set, it's got me thinking. Hello Figgy Fiends and Collectors, this is me, Daniel East 1000, back again with another top 7 Star Wars The Black Series vehicles that could be implemented into the collection. For this list, I'm keeping it relatively open to both prequels, original trilogy and sequel trilogy. But what I will say is, before getting into this video, the original trilogy definitely has had the most amount of vehicles made for it, second of which would be the sequels. Because of this, it might seem like in my list I'm being a bit more favourable to the prequels, and that's only because of, well, the previously mentioned. And to be perfectly honest with you, I do think the prequels have more vehicles that are more viable to be made in 6" than some of the other vehicles in the other films. Because for this list, I'm really trying to focus on stuff that could actually get made. So don't expect to see B-Wings, X-Wings, things like that in this list, because I honestly couldn't see Hasbro making that in 6". So try and keep a realistic perspective on this when viewing my list. Anyways, I'm waffling. Let's get into the list. At number 7, Vulture Droid. I'm kind of disappointed myself in putting this so low on my list because I do really like the Vulture Droid design. You wouldn't obviously be able to fit a figure inside it because the vehicle itself is effectively a droid, but I do feel like it has plenty of cool play features and display options for collectors to have. You could have it in its flight pose, or you could have it in its weird walker pose as well. Plenty of display options with that one, and plenty of different colour options that Hasbro could do. Sand or blue, either would be great, and would look absolutely menacing on anyone's figgy shelf. At number 6, First Order Tread Speeder. Honestly, this is the only sequel vehicle that's going to appear in this list, just because thinking about it, I couldn't think of any sizable vehicles from the sequels that you could do. And that's not me being a sequel basher at all, I love the sequels. But this was the only vehicle that I thought would be sizable enough that they could package and, you know, distribute quite easily. It would be roughly about the same size as the Imperial Speeder bike, and you could include the First Order Tread bike pilot, driver, and if you could have some room in the back for the Jet Trooper, that would be perfect. It's a relatively basic design, there's not too many features you could put into it, but I really felt like I should at least put something sequel in there, and this was the only real one that I could find. If anyone can think of any others, let me know in the comments below. At number 5, A-Wing.
Forward batteries, I don't want anything to get through.
So this would roughly be the same size as the Snowspeeder, I think, that's been recently released, and would be really the only viable to retail and package Rebel Alliance ship. So if they did release this, it would be great to see them include Rebel pilots such as Al Crinder, who, sorry if I pronounced that name wrong, but unfortunately met his fate kamikazing into a Star Destroyer, never we forget. It's one of those vehicles that I've always liked from the original trilogy. I don't know if it's the colouring or the shape of the design, you know, the sleekness, but it would be cool to see it in the line. At number 4, AT-RT.
All these Wookiees are dead. Move to the east. Yes, sir.
So I did kind of consider the AT-ST, you know, the Imperial model effectively of this, which is more bulked up and armoured. However, I feel like that would just be way too big for Hasbro to package up. So looking at the drawing board, I noticed this, and it's like, well, that would be pretty damn cool, because first and foremost, if you wanted to go down the Legends route, you could always have, you know, a Rebel soldier on that, copying a little bit from the Star Wars Legions mini war game. It's a little bit legendsy, but that would be kind of cool to see. But I think what most would want, and that's including me, would be a AT-RT driver. Again, I'm not the biggest clone nut in the world, but the AT driver design is actually one of the more unique ones, and that's what always kind of drives me to get clones. If they look unique and different in some capacity, I'll get them, particularly in the weapons and stuff that they have. And if they modelled it similarly from the vintage collection one, that'd be great. Furthermore, I feel like the vehicle won't be much of a stretch to do, and the retail price point I'd imagine would be quite nice, you know, nothing too bank busting at all. At number 3, General Grievous's wheelbarrow. This one might be a push because General Grievous, thinking about it, is a very, very big figgy, and this vehicle would be pretty damn big as well in terms of like height mainly. But I feel like it could be viable. It, you know, could be potentially done. First and foremost, it is one of my favourite vehicles from the prequels, just due to how weird and wonderful looking it is. It's got loads of greeblies, really textured, and just has some interesting details. And the fact that, you know, it folds up into a wheel bike and then it can have its legs come down as like a landing mode or a walker mode. But not only would this vehicle be great, it would be a nice way for people who missed out on the first time to get a version of General Grievous. And with that being said, I think the General Grievous they could include with this one will be a battle damaged one, as at the point when he gets on the wheel bike he's kind of all mashed up and he doesn't have his cape on, and those features alone might make it a bit easier for Hasbro to save on making that figure, perhaps including some more scene specific accessories such as the electro staff and the blaster. I'd really love to see this on my shelf if I could afford it, because it's such an odd vehicle, and General Grievous is one of my absolute faves. At number 2, Ewok Flyer. So it's not really a vehicle per se, it's more of a glider, but seeing as we've got Tebow coming this year, I think we could do some more Ewoks. Some more furries to run around and attack our stormtroopers. So this will be another good way to get more Ewoks made, possibly, in, you know, some form. While the wingspan is quite big, I feel like they could easily package it into a smaller packaging, nothing too ridiculously big. Also including a flight stand, so you can have it outspread and look as if it's flying on your shelf. That would be pretty sweet. Obviously including an Ewok figure with some rocks that they could plop on stormtroopers' heads. What's not to like about that? Again, we need more Ewoks, especially given we've got Tebow out this year and we've not heard any more about the others being made. So yeah, hop to it, Hasbro. At number 1, Anakin or Obi-Wan's Jedi Starfighter. So I feel like the ones from episode 2 and the Clone Wars are the ones from episode 3. Either or could be done. Part of me would be more swayed towards the Jedi Interceptors from episode 3, just because I always liked their designs for some reason, and I feel like they'd be quite, you know, nicely sizable enough. And once again, in terms of the figures that you could provide with them, as Hasbro seems to really not enjoy releasing astromechs on their own, would give them a reason to release astromechs. R2-D2 for Anakin or R4-P17 for Obi-Wan, they would be great inclusions, particularly if R4-P17 included alternative domes, because that droid does lose its head in Revenge of the Sith towards the start, quite unfortunately, but then gets a replaced dome. That'll be really nice to see and would be a cool little play feature. Either of these would look absolutely awesome on a shelf. Furthermore, going back to the very arse end of this list, the Vulture Droid and the Jedi Starfighter together in like an aerial combat kind of display, that'd be pretty damn sweet. So with that said and done, that's my top 7 Star Wars vehicles that I would like to see included in the Black Series collection. It's been something I've been thinking of for a while, because it's a challenge in thinking what could they actually make compared to something that they could actually viably do. But Nonetheless, let me know what you guys think. Let me know what your picks would be. Was there any that I didn't include in this list that you think should be made? I'm open to all suggestions and thoughts. Thanks for watching, and this is me, Daniel East 1000, sign out. See you soon.